Longer short.
Right, I want to talk about the NHS. I'm from Lambeth, Keep Our NHS Public, and we have been campaigning for the last 3 or 4 years to expose the privatisation that is happening by stealth in our health service. It's been difficult work because it's all kept hidden behind smoke screens of jargon and language which is impenetrable and agendas of 500 pages. But we've done it, and we keep an eye on all the bodies buying health in London, in South London. And we put it into simple leaflets, and we go to markets, we have singing flash mobs, and we go out to meet people and talk to them about what's happening. It's happening very, very fast. And since 1st of April 2013, £24 million a day worth of contracts are going to private contractors. That's 1 million an hour. Every hour, 1 million of contracts. And the evidence for that is from the National Health Service Support Federation. Go on the People's NHS website and you can see the money trickling away to the private contractors. And the press aren't telling us this. £12 billion of former NHS services are now run by the private sector. Why does TTIP threaten the NHS? Because it will make this privatisation irreversible. It will make the repeal of the Health and Social Care Act impossible. Whatever the Labour Party promises, it will make our own democratic wishes impossible to implement. And the Act forces GPs and hospital trusts to put out services to tender. That has to be reversed, but with TTIP, the companies that lose our profits can sue our governments and our bodies for not putting things out to tender. And it would allow foreign healthcare companies to sue our government in secret, independent courts, as John Hillary said, for any lost profits. But the NHS is much more than the sum of its parts. People join the NHS, they work with it with pride, they believe in it, it has an ethos which is different from the market. It cannot be chopped up into little bits and sold to David Cameron's friends. People choose to work for the NHS because they're committed to its values, providing universal, publicly funded healthcare to everyone, irrespective of ability to pay. I had the honour of meeting a real worker for the NHS, Roger Hutt, this week. You may not have heard of the Care UK strikers in Doncaster. He convinced me of what is being threatened by TTIP. He has worked supporting people with learning difficulties for 30 years as an NHS employee. But Doncaster Council had to put the service out to tender. And Care UK, a private company owned by a private equity company, Bridgepoint, won the contract for providing services to people with learning difficulties. They bid 6.9 million, the NHS bid 7. And what did they do? Because they bid lower, they knew they had to cut wages. So within 3 months, they cut people's wages by 35%. They cut their overtime. They cut their holidays. And the workers who have been on NHS contracts, they have been on strike. And since then, 81 days, the longest NHS strike in history. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive of Care UK earns £800,000 a year. Care UK have not paid any corporation tax for 4 years. This is what privatisation means. But it's not just the workers who suffer, it's the users of the service who suffer. They have lost, 4 people have resigned because they've lost their homes due to this cut in wages. And between them, they had 100 years of devoted service to the NHS. They knew these people who were using their services. They knew how to care for them. And they've been replaced by scab labour, brought in on buses by Care UK, paid on 0-hour contracts, about the basic minimum wage, and have no experience. So not only the workers lose, the service users lose, and we all lose, because the money that's going on these contracts is going into private pockets. It's going into profits, and they're not paying their share of tax, and it's fragmenting the NHS. Rip-off! me why TTIP is so important is that contracts like this must be brought back into the NHS. We must be able to reverse this real damage. And so we must continue our struggle against TTIP, tell people stories like this, and we will, hopefully, win. Thank you very much.